you've sort of half tongue-in-cheek described the idea of a universal income as a kind of trust fund for all. But the problem is that people that actually do have trust funds would get it as well, would they? I mean, it's completely indiscriminate.
Yeah, but they'd pay back through taxation. Look, the reason why I'm attracted to this is it speaks to what kind of society do we want to be. And do we trust in people? Do we believe that if we get rid of, as you say in the film, a complex, intrusive, demeaning, means-tested system and replace it with a flat rate payment, people will do extraordinary things? I personally think they probably would. And some of it will be caring, some for elderly relatives, for kids. Some of it would no doubt be voluntary work. But the interesting thing is, Kirsty, the evidence is, just on this point about work, the evidence is so far in the work that's been done on this, the pilots that have been done, it hasn't led to a diminution of work. People just sitting on the sofa doing nothing.
But there is going to be less work.
Because of technology?
Yes.
Yeah,
so
exactly. And that's the other reason why this is interesting, is because we're entering an era, we can't be certain the scale, but we know technology is going to be incredibly disruptive. So therefore, a welfare system built for a job for life, the welfare system sort of we have in one form or another, doesn't really feel fit for purpose, and therefore, you know, this could be, I mean, this is kind of right, or has got attractions in any case, but I think in particular for people chopping and changing their jobs, that world, it could be particularly appropriate.
do you think, though, that by and large people want to work? I mean,
yes, I do.
I mean, because Nick Bowles, the former Minister for Skills, said, mankind is hardwired for work, we gain satisfaction from it. But the point is that there won't be work for all. We are kidding ourselves unless we radically rethink how much we work and allow other people to take jobs for different periods of time. There won't be work.
Well, that may be true to an extent. We don't know, because people have predicted the end of work before. But, the interesting thing is, just on this point about evidence we have, it's not overwhelming, but Alaska, they've got this fund, which is a smaller version.
And they're doing one in Finland at the moment.
Yeah, but Alaska's been going for decades.
Yes.
So we've got, and a study came out this week saying, actually, work hadn't gone down, work had gone up, the amount that people were doing. And so, in a way, this is a sort of bet on human nature, in part.
Yes, but I mean, it wouldn't necessarily... This is a bigger fundamental question about whether it would necessarily be a bad thing if people work less. It wouldn't
necessarily be a bad thing.
If they do different things.
Quite.
I mean, because there's going to be an ageing population we need to care from, we need to take care of our health better. Perhaps there are different ways that we should be running our lives.
I totally agree with you. And look, the ageing population is, in a way, another aspect of this.
But in a way, your language has changed, because I remember when you were actually Special Advisor to Gordon Brown, you were talking about...
that was so long ago, Kirsty.
Yes, but you talked about tax credits and the good thing...
I was in short trousers.
Well, that must have looked very weird in Parliament. But I mean, you talked about tax credits. I mean, they're means tested. You were for all that stuff. You've changed your mind.
Yeah, maybe. Maybe a bit. I mean, look, I'm still a defender of tax credits, but I'm not thinking about...
But they're means tested.
Yeah, but I'm not thinking... See, look, the liberating thing for me, just for me for a minute, is I'm not thinking about what should we do big bang tomorrow. I'm thinking 5, 10, 15 years ahead, what system should we be designing? What is going to be the system that fits for purpose
but you also
for a long way ahead?
talked about you being the party that supports the grafters. Now, it's actually going to be the case that it's more like the grifters, not the grafters. There just won't be the chance for everybody to graft.
But I think that's where I slightly part company with you. The notion that people are going to take this money and lay around, I don't buy that.
But who is going to pay for it? Because what the RSA is saying, that it's going to cost $14 billion a year. Now, obviously, you're going to take that money from the benefit system.
In the big scheme of things, that's small change. I mean, in the big scheme of things, if you're thinking about a 20-year, 15, 20-year enterprise, and I think we should pilot this, I think we should pilot it in different forms.
Well, it's been piloted in Scotland for councils.
Exactly, and we should be doing it here. I mean, the government's cut corporate taxes by 15 billion over the last 6 or 7 years. So, yes, there's a funding issue. You'd save some money, as you said, in some of the means-tested benefits. It probably would have an outlay, but if it worked, if it had the liberating power that many advocates think it could have, I think it would be worth the cost.
So you think there'd be retraining? You think there would be people taking different direction with their lives?
I mean, they're saying in the report today that Mrs. Thatcher set up the enterprise allowance, which gave people a certain amount of money, I think, and people set up businesses. Look, people might set up businesses with this money. In a way, middle-class people take this for granted, that they have money to fall back on.
But you've been very critical of people, for example, Mike Ashley and Sports Direct and so forth, and people like that. I mean, the idea that people who are very wealthy get this 10K, I suppose you say they give a lot more back in tax, which then goes to fund other people.
Exactly.
But you know, in a moral sense, should everybody get this money?
Yeah, because they're citizens. Look, this is the point. We have universal, more or less, child benefit, but this is why Thomas Paine advocated it. It's a recognition of citizenship, and you know, particularly as technology takes off, and the danger is greater and greater inequality, the idea that every citizen should have a stake in the growing wealth of the country, I think, is attractive.
Thank you very much
Thank you.
indeed.